Hey guys, welcome back. Mr. Shaw here again. We finished up with the Axis powers and kind of what was that laid the foundation for the war to start. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Allied powers and then a little bit about how the fighting actually began. Let's get to it. All right, so we're going to start with the Soviet Union, or also known as the United Soviet Social, or the sorry, excuse me, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Okay, again, you see this one right here, this big one. Again, this is Russia, and then Russia added on again, like these other countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. Again, they all became part of the Soviet Union. The so Russia was a part of the Soviet Union, but again, the Soviet Union was bigger than just Russia. All right, so talking about the beginning of the Soviet Union, we talked about Vladimir Lenin. Again, he led the Russian Revolution against Tsar Nicholas. They favored communism. They believed that the government should control all property, all resources, and all businesses. This is a very idealistic form of government in which it is basically a classless society with no individual rights or freedoms. Basically, everybody is equal. Everybody has the same amount of money, and it sounds good on paper. But again, there's a lot of problems when it's actually put into practice. A lot of corruption that usually happens when people actually try it out. Anyways, but that again, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. And they are going to form, again, Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin after him are going to form the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and this is going to be the first communist nation in the world. All right, so let's talk about Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin, I think that's it. Yep, sorry. Okay, Joseph Stalin is going to take over the Communist Party after Lenin dies in 1924. Very interesting fact: Vladimir Lenin's body is actually still on display in Russia. You can actually go see it, and it's like in a glass casket, and they have tried to preserve his body as best as possible. So it's still on display. You can go see it even today. Although I'm not sure how easy it is. It's not like, all right, I'll be back, guys, and I'm going to go see it. But anyway, it's there. So what Joseph Stalin is going to do, he's going to use strict controls to organize and modernize the USSR and Russia in general. And again, like Joseph Stalin is very similar to Hitler and Mussolini in the fact that he is going to take power by force, and he's going to maintain power by force. So anyone who spoke out against him, anyone who didn't agree with him, they would disappear. Again, you weren't really allowed to disagree with Stalin. He was not very different from Hitler and Mussolini. He was a very poor public speaker, so he had to he literally would take hold of power, and he had to hang on to that by making sure that there was no opposition to him. So that's what this word means, purged. When I say purged, he would literally, that means either kill or to expel, to literally get rid of these people. So he purged millions of his opponents in the 1930s, and he was fearful of Germany. He was afraid that if Germany became powerful again, that it would lead to another world war. And he was very right, to believe that. And again, his actions that he does in a little bit kind of mirror that belief. Transferring to the United Kingdom, all you guys have to get down on this slide is you need to write both of the names of the prime ministers and then the years. Again, so Neville Chamberlain is going to be the British prime minister from 1937 to 1940, and then Winston Churchill is going to take over from 1940 to 1945. And again, these two guys are very important in kind of increasing or making I don't want to say like making the war as bad as it was, but especially what Neville Chamberlain does is while Hitler is doing all these really awful things, he's just kind of sitting back and staying out of it, not wanting to intrude. Not intrude's the wrong word, but he doesn't want to get involved in another military conflict. But again, that's the only thing that's really going to stop Hitler once he gets going. All right, so I'm going to transition real quick to the United States. So FDR is, like as I said, he's going to become president when Hitler became chancellor. Again, that is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He is going to he becomes president during the Great Depression, and he is going to focus on the United States. Okay, his foreign policy is really not going to be that important to his presidency, at least not until later, because again, the Depression was just so bad. A lot of Americans are going to favor isolationism during this time because, again, we saw World War I. We saw what had happened. We saw how much death, how much fighting. An entire generation of young men were lost. And what did we gain out of it? Well, not really anything. We were right back where we started. So Americans weren't really thrilled about getting involved with other countries at this time. They wanted to kind of just focus on their own stuff, especially with the Depression going on. Again, and we've talked about that a little bit in the past, that during a Depression, what you're supposed to do is trade with other countries and try to establish good trade or good lines of communication and good trade routes. And that just doesn't really happen in history. More often than not, people shut their doors. They try to focus on their own stuff, and it ends up making the depressions or the recessions last even longer. But again, during this time, they're going to avoid political contact with Europe. Again, they don't want to deal with it. They're just going to say, hey, you guys do your thing. We're going to do our thing. However, the United States did loan money to Europe during World War I, and they expected to be repaid. And that is one of the main things that that is so important to remember, because the United States was going through this horrible depression, and the other European countries are going through the same depression, and especially like in Germany's case, Germany had it worst of all, but the United States, they're not getting that money back from that they loaned out. So that would be one way to kind of help ease the pain a little bit of the depression, and they're not getting that money back either. This last bullet is not, you're not going to be tested on this. It's just kind of an interesting thing. There was a committee that was put together called the Nye Committee, and they ruled that World War I was fought in order to save business profits and bank loans. So this is what this means, guys, is that the Nye Committee ruled, they believed that the United States got involved in World War I to protect the business profits and to protect bank loans. Okay, so because of this, they are going to, again, these are all, this is kind of like selfish. If you want to draw an arrow off of this bullet and write selfish, that's probably the best word to describe it, is that we had loaned money to the Allies, we had good business ties to the Allies, so we got involved to save those. It wasn't about saving democracy, it was about protecting our wallets. Okay, and that's really important to remember, because that's going to kind of lead Americans to want to stay out of any future conflict, at least initially. All right, so let's get into Nazi aggression. Okay, what happened? What is going to cause, what is going to get the Nazis and Hitler moving as far as, taking territory? So on March 7th, 1936, Hitler is going to militarize the Rhineland. Now, if you remember, in the Treaty of Versailles, it said that Germany was not allowed to have a military, okay, or they were only allowed to have a certain number of people in their military, and no air force. So him invading the Rhineland, and again, the Rhineland, again, like you see kind of his motion here, okay, when he's invading the Rhineland. This is going to be this area was given back to France out at the end of World War I. So he's going to kind of take it back, and he is breaking the Treaty of Versailles here. Okay, that's the first major thing that he does. Again, that's all the way in 1936. So that's the first thing, okay, is that he is violating the Treaty of Versailles by remilitarizing Germany and reoccupying the Rhineland, which was a territory of France. Now, again, this is really important for two reasons. First, because he's breaking the Treaty of Versailles. Second, because this is how he is getting Germany out of the Depression, is he is getting people jobs either in the military or creating military weapons or tanks or guns, anything like that. Okay, so those are the two reasons why it's important. 1938, he invades Austria. Again, there was he always talked about this idea of Anschluss. Okay, and Anschluss literally just means like it was this idea of uniting all of the German-speaking peoples in Germany and Austria into one country. So while this was happening, actually, do me a favor before we move on, draw an arrow off of Anschluss and just write unite Germany and Austria. Okay, perfect. Anyway, Britain and France are going to condemn this, but they did nothing. France was too weak without the help of the British, and to be honest with you, Britain was kind of sympathetic to the German claims. They realized, hey, Germany got a really bad deal with the Treaty of Versailles. Again, we basically abused them. So hey, it's okay if you take back the Rhineland. Again, basically they're just going to be like shaking their finger and be like, hey, don't do that. That's not a good thing to do. But again, they're not going to do anything while he is breaking the Treaty of Versailles. So he's already broken the Treaty of Versailles, and he realizes that Britain and France are going to do anything. They aren't going to do anything. So he's going to see how far he can take his power. So 3 million Germans are going to live in what's known as the Sudetenland. Okay, that is this part right here that you see in like I guess a brown or tan. Okay, that is again there are 3 million Germans living in this area of Czechoslovakia. And Hitler claimed that the Czechoslovakians were persecuting these Germans in this area. Okay, that's why I say displaced Germans, meaning Germans not in Germany. So what he does is he demands self-rule or self-determination for the Sudetenland, and then he actually annexes the Sudetenland. He takes it, and it becomes part of Germany. Again, this is all in violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Okay? Like this, again, Germany and Hitler especially is adamantly trying to add territory to Germany. So again, he demands the Sudetenland and then he just takes it. Okay, so what's gonna happen? What are Britain and France gonna do? Again, the United States is kind of out of this at the moment. They're worried about the Depression. They're not really worried about much else. So Hitler and Neville Chamberlain are going to meet in Munich. Okay, and Munich, they are going to kind of discuss the whole situation in Czechoslovakia. Remember, he has remilitarized the Rhineland, he has built up Germany's military, and he has now demanded the Sudetenland and now taken he was demanding the Sudetenland at this point. So in the Munich Agreement, what they decide is that Hitler is going to he's going to be given the Sudetenland. So now, in this meeting, they are going to say, hey, you can have the Sudetenland, and then he's going to say, and then the second part of it is that he's going to guarantee the safety of the rest of Czechoslovakia and Europe. So, Hitler says, hey, if you give me this, I promise, okay, cross my heart, hope to die, that I will leave the rest of Czechoslovakia alone, and I will leave the rest of Europe alone. I won't do anything else. I'm going to be a good boy. Okay, so this is what's known as the policy of appeasement. Okay, so put a star by this. Again, here's your definition if you want to put a star by this first one. Okay, the appeasement is literally giving in to an aggressor to avoid conflict. Okay, so Hitler is basically running around Europe like a bully, and he's taking people's stuff, okay, taking people's territory, remilitarizing Germany. And Britain and France they are trying to avoid conflict. They're too weak to stop him. Okay, and they're just going to say, hey, okay, take this. As long as you promise not to do anything else, okay, you can have the thing that you want. Okay, well, what does Hitler do? I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is a very famous quote from this time. Again, this is a picture of Neville Chamberlain at the Munich conference in 1938, and he's holding up the piece of paper that him and Hitler signed, and he says, now we have peace in our time. Herr Hitler is a man we can do business with. That was crazy. That was going green as I was talking about it. I did not mean to do that. But anyway, again, he's saying, Hitler is a man we can do business with. And again, what's Hitler going to do? We know what Hitler's going to do. All he's going to do is he's going to keep doing what he's doing. He's a bully, and he's going to keep doing the same things that he was doing before because he thinks that France and Britain can't stop it. So that's exactly what he does. Okay, 6 months later, he takes the rest of Czechoslovakia. He uses this word. It's called Lebensraum. Okay, he talks about, and this was kind of getting the German people excited about, not excited, that's not the right word, but he wanted more space for Germans. Okay, living space for Germans. And you want to add that, for Germans, right here at the end of living space. Again, he is trying to create, he wants to gain as much land as he can to have Lebensraum, or living space, for the people of Germany and just Germans in general. After this, after he invades Czechoslovakia, he takes the rest of it, and he is going to threaten to take Poland after he takes Czechoslovakia. Britain and France, again, as weak as they are, they still promise to aid Poland if Poland gets attacked. So all of this stuff is going on. Okay, we see that, again, Hitler is just basically running rampant in Europe. And so he's going to make one really key move that's going to help him at the beginning of the war. We talked about the main problem that the Germans faced in World War I was they didn't want to fight a two-front war. Okay, that was the whole idea of trying to knock France out of the war before before Russia could really come in to help. So Stalin, again, he's alarmed by the interest in Poland. But at the same time, Hitler wants to kind of pacify Stalin. He doesn't want Stalin to get involved in this war. Okay, he wants him to stay out. Okay, so Britain and France, they did not want to ally with the Soviets, okay, because again, those are democratic nations. Okay, they do not want to get involved with a communist nation. They see communism as a threat to them. So Stalin's only choice then is to make sure that he appeases Hitler in that he wants to do what Hitler wants to do, meaning he wants to create a non-aggression pact. Okay, that is called the Nazi-Soviet Pact in 1939. They literally they say that they are not going to attack each other. They're also going to split Poland in two, and put a star by this last one. By doing this, Germany avoids a two-front war. This is a really funny political cartoon that I like, and it says, "Wonder how long the honeymoon will last." And it's got Hitler as the husband and Stalin as the wife. And again, it's got the cake with the swastikas and then the hammer and sickle on the back, or on the bottom here too. And again, this is they did this understanding that this was probably not going to last long, that there was eventually going to be conflict between these two nations. All right, guys, I'm going to stop there for now. We're going to start the war when we come back. Thanks for watching. See you next time.